Other friends on the dais, friends, I'm really honored to be here in this eODISHA summit, and heard the Honorable Chief Minister who talked about, and the Minister of IT who talked about the introduction of the Electronic Service Deliveries Act and the number of initiatives which UIDAI has taken to make the life of common person easy, so that he is able to get the services of the government at a convenient manner at an affordable cost. So I think the environment here in this state is quite conducive to development and initiatives and innovations in the IT sector to be taken, so as to basically make the delivery of public services more efficient, more transparent, more cost effective, accessible, and all that. What I'm going to do in the next 15-20 minutes is to share with you what we at the UIDAI Authority of India are doing in terms of implementing the Aadhaar project in this country, and how that project will be able to be leveraged to deliver these public services. So essentially what we are doing and how this work which we are doing will be useful to the people of this country. So let me begin that we started about 3.5 years back in the August of 2009 when the UIDAI Authority of India was set up, and Mr. Nandan Lekari, as you know, became our first chairman. And then we started designing this project, and 1 year was taken to conceptualize, to design, and finally to put in place the back-end infrastructure to start implementation of the project. And the first number was delivered on 29th of September 2010, about 2.5 years back, in Maharashtra by the Honorable Prime Minister. And since then, we have done about 300 million enrollments. In fact, 290 million Aadhaars have been issued, and about 30-40 million numbers of enrollments are with us. So one thing which I want to say up front is that normally identity projects are done with security in mind. Wherever they have been done, their basic objective has been to ensure that there are no illegal immigrations, there are no border control and all those issues. This is the project which is being done with completely development as a focus in mind. So the basic objective of the project is development and also inclusion. And the context is that there are a large number of people in our country who do not have any kind of documentary proof to prove their existence or prove their identity. And the result is that they are devoid of accessing many services or many formal systems. Because as you know, when you go to some place, the first question is asked, who are you? Prove your identity, prove your existence. So therefore, because of this reason, they don't have an ID, and therefore they are not able to access many formal systems. This is the context number one. The other context is that we, during the last 2-3 decades, we have started focusing more on the individual benefit delivery systems in our country, which is basically you start the Narega scheme for providing employment to people. You have the public distribution system to provide subsidized ration to people. You provide old age pensions to people. You provide scholarships to students, midday meals. So essentially, they are all individual-centric schemes. And obviously, each individual is supposed to get one benefit out of that. So old age pension, one will get. Ration, 1 unit will be given to a person. Now, because of this system, there is a lot of incentive if I create more than one identity. So if I have 2 identities, I will be able to get 2 ration cards. So there are states in this country where the number of ration cards is 1.5 times the total population. So what has happened, there are a lot of bogus and fakes and duplicate ration cards and duplicate identities, which actually try to corner more benefits than what is due to them. And that has resulted in a huge amount of leakage taking place. So one estimates that even in public distribution system there is a huge leakage, and estimates vary. Some people say 30%, some say 20%, depends from state to state also. So essentially the idea was, how do you create a system where one person will be able to get only one identity and therefore will not be able to game the system, therefore will not be able to take more than one unit of advantage. So the whole structure was essentially, this is the context. And interestingly, the name of the authority which was created to do this task was Unique Identification Authority of India. And I have never been able to figure out even till now, after doing 3.5 years of work there, whether the authentication and identification is unique or whether the authority is unique. This adjective of uniqueness, whether it applies to identification or to the authority. So uniqueness has been such an overarching kind of objective with which we have been created. So how do you ensure that? So these are the two contexts. Now comes the question that when we designed the system, we had taken a couple of basic decisions. One is the voluntary nature of this identity. And that flows from the fact that it's a development initiative, it's not a regulatory or security initiative. Therefore, we had said anybody who wants to come in and enroll themselves or herself is welcome. Anybody who does not want to come in is also welcome. So that's one part, voluntary nature. But let me say with that, while it is voluntary from the authority's perspective, the respective service delivery domains can make it mandatory. So for example, government of Odisha may decide that when you have a huge coverage, you can decide that anybody who is getting an old age pension and in order to eliminate fakes and duplicates must have an Aadhaar number. So the discretion to declare it mandatory for certain benefit delivery systems is left on the individual domains or individual ministries. Secondly, we decided that there is a huge sort of passion of these smart cards. And today it's not so much there, 3.5 years it was much more. So everybody thought that smart cards are the one which will solve the problem of the country. You have a smart card, the result was that people have more smart cards than their pocket size. And they don't deliver much. So essentially we decided we will not give smart cards, we will just give a number. And that number can be put on any kind of cards you like. So essentially we said it will be just a number and we'll convey that number to a person. And I will come back to the fact as to why a number is more effective than the smart card. So that's one part. Third thing was it's a random number. So by a number you can't figure out whether a person is from Odisha or from Bengal or from Bihar. It's a pan-India, one number, a random number. And that eliminates all the possibility of profiling, of kind of figuring out as to whether a person is old, age, young, male, female, which caste, which creed, which language, which mother tongue, nothing. So that's another design part. Then there was another question. Whom do you give this number to? Give this number to all citizens or to the residents? And the government had taken a very conscious decision that we shall give it to all residents. So this number proves only identity. It does not prove your nationhood or citizenship. It basically says you are a resident of India. So those even foreigners who are living in India and they satisfy the residency criteria as defined under the Citizenship Act shall be entitled to this number. Now another important issue was, what problem are we trying to solve? And then we started, people said, oh, why don't you collect the minority, whether they follow the minority or not, so that minority scholarships can be latched onto this. Some people said, collect BPL status also, collect marital status also, all kinds of things. We took a decision that this is merely an identity, it is not an eligibility. Normally, identity and eligibility are clubbed together. If you have a driving license, that driving license is essentially an eligibility document which tells the authority that you are entitled to drive. You have a driving training or you can drive. Implicit in that eligibility is also identity, because you can use it at the airport to sort of go inside and say that you are so and so. We decided eligibility is something which is left to the domains, because that requires a little more than identity. So eligibility in some sense is an application over identity. So we designed it in such a manner that it will basically be a core identity platform on which all applications can be built. And because core identity remains the common problem of all eligibility domains, so if we solve this common problem, we would have solved a large part of every domain's problem. And then it becomes easy for the domains to build their applications on this core identity. So that's very important distinction which one will have to remember, because people always ask me, there are so many cards, driving license is there, photo ID card is there, election ID card is there, why the hell do you want another card? So first of all we tell them, friends, this is not a card. And secondly we tell them, this is not an eligibility document, this is an identity document. This identity document can be used to build a lot of things. So that's one part. Secondly, we could have designed it as an application, for example, for voter ID or for something. We said no, we will design it as a platform. Now, platform nature of any delivery or any offering makes it possible to build applications on top of it. And therefore we call it Aadhaar. Aadhaar, as you know, in most of the Indian languages stands for platform or foundation or whatever. So we said this is merely an identity foundation on which applications can be built, and that is why it is more useful than a particular application which you have designed or devised. Now, one is, there are a lot of people who are saying privacy, if you are collecting so much of data, you will violate privacy. So we designed certain principles saying that we will not allow the downloading of any data from our data center. So if you can't ask me that here is an Aadhaar number, tell me whose Aadhaar number it is. Or you can't ask me, this is the person, tell me what is the Aadhaar number. So that, we will respond only in yes and no, and we do not allow download of any data from our data center. So that's also, it takes care of the issue of privacy. We have taken steps to ensure security of the data. Now, one more important part is, this is the world's first online identity system, which means your identity is on the cloud, and all of your IT professionals connected the ID. What we are designing is from a situation of no ID in which people did not have ID to a situation where they have their ID on the cloud, which is verifiable anytime, anywhere. So this is the basic difference between the identity systems wherever they are and this. And this is the world's first online identity system. And you can authenticate your identity. You can go to any place just using a mobile phone with a fingerprint reader. You can prove that you are the person who you claim to be. And we have a little stall here. You can probably, many of you who have got Aadhaar numbers, can actually do this online authentication. So that's an extremely powerful concept, and I'll explain to you how this helps in service delivery. How this makes service delivery possible and efficient. So that's another part. Now coming back to the uniqueness question. How do we design a system which is unique? So suppose I go there and say my name is R.S. Sharma and I get a number, and I go again and say my name is S.K. Verma and I get another number. So how do you ensure that one gets only one number? And the only way to ensure at that point of time was essentially to use biometrics. Because nature has somehow designed that everybody's biometrics are distinct. So therefore, you give your 10 fingerprints and you give your iris, and then we will give you a number. Now, because two people's fingerprint and irises don't match, so if this person goes again with a different name and his data goes back to us, our data center will tell, no, this person is already enrolled and therefore his nomination will be rejected. So essentially we ensure uniqueness by using these biometric attributes. And the interesting part is, when we started this project, we were told nowhere in the world you have a database of size of 1 billion people. The only databases they have are 4 or 5 million people. And they said on this database size, and this database was also of European people who don't do manual labor the way our people do, and therefore their fingerprints are quite good. And they said you can have only 95% accuracy, which means that 5% people have a chance of getting 2 IDs. You know, their things are same, but they will not match. And 5% of 120 crores is 6 crores. So we were told that you can't do it. However, fortunately, if you have an iris pattern also captured, iris plus 10 fingerprints, they will give you an accuracy level of 99% plus. Unfortunately, even 1% is 1.2 crores. So some people, when they get one fellow with 2 Aadhars, they jump saying, oh, this is a scandal. We tell them, friends, no system in the world is 100% perfect. You can't design a system which is 100% perfect. There are people who will have biometrics. There are people who will have no eyes. There are people who have no fingerprints. And you can't expect them to be left out of the system. If you want to design an accurate system, you will not be able to design an inclusive system. And if you want inclusiveness as your objective, then you can't have accuracy. So you have to have a balance. And we believe, whatever we have done thus far, that the system is 99.96% accurate, which means it's still 0.04%, which is about 5 lakhs. 5 lakh people will end up having 2 identities. However, the good part is that because all the identities are in the central identities repository, so whenever we get, okay, this guy has got 2 IDs, and we confirm it, we will be able to cancel one. And once you cancel one, he may have a letter with him. But that letter is useless because in all service deliveries, we are going to use online authentication. So once it switches off, this guy is absolutely not able to authenticate. So therefore, we have the capability, because of the design of the system, to continue improving it, continue cleaning the data, continue mining the data, so as to achieve the desired level of accuracy. So that's how this system is designed. Let me just deal a couple of minutes on the issue of one part. I must say, it is the largest database in the world already. The largest database in the world is 110 million by US visit, where they collect data of all the guys who visit US. We already have about 290 million numbers. So we have the largest database, and we have a structure which will keep on increasing and expanding. Now let me come back to the last part, which is, why does this number become a powerful enabler for delivery of services? So the first part is, the uniqueness property of this number enables that you will be able to eliminate duplicates and fakes. And that is the first application states are doing. So many states who are doing, for example, there was a big racket in Maharashtra, where in the name of scholarship to the students, this whole money was being given to the colleges. So one college will say, I've got 1,000 students. Give me the name, they will give the names. Other will say, I've got another 1,000 ones. Give me the name, they will take these fellows' names. So one student will figure in 6 colleges. And because one has no method of figuring out the name matching, etc., so we will continue to take. So the number of students will be more than 1.5 times the actual number of students studying anywhere, because every student is being shown everywhere. It's like a midday meal story also in these schools, we all know, where a child is being shown in this school, that school, many multiple schools. So first thing that they did was, give me the UID number. So once you start having UID number, you can straight away check whether a fellow is in one school or not. Now number checking is much more easy than the name checking or name matching. So this is the first application people are using, and we believe, and in fact the NIPFP, National Institute of Public Finance and Policy, has done a study which actually demonstrates the internal rate of return of this project to be 53%. Which means that in a couple of 1 year time, just using it on some schemes, just to use deduplication of the beneficiary list, you will be able to get the value of this project back. So that's the one part of power. The other thing which is very peculiar and very special to this project is the capacity to authenticate online. Now what it means is that you go to any service domain and there is a small device, we call it micro ATM, or you can call it whatever it is, and you don't need to take any card or any other a smart card, and nothing. You just go there, and for any service, if you are a beneficiary, you just put in your Aadhaar number or name and just put in your fingerprint. And the UIDAI Authority of India data center will revert back to you saying that yes, this is the right person. Now that's an extremely powerful enabler, because then what the Honorable Minister was talking about, Electronic Service Delivery Act, you can make it possible that you are delivering these services to the person who deserves the services. You are giving the salary, NREG and wages to the person who has worked hard, toiled hard, not to somebody who is a middleman. So essentially you can ensure that the benefit goes to the person who deserves it after proper authentication. So this is, and interestingly, the round trip time of this authentication is less than 5 seconds. So essentially from the device it goes to wherever, it travels in the cyberspace, and because the signals, as you know, travel at the speed of light, so it comes back in a couple of seconds back. So you are able to authenticate. Now this authentication platform becomes extremely important. Let's take an example of banking. Now banking, what are the challenges? One challenge is that you are not able to open an account. Generally, if you don't have a proof of ID and proof of address. Aadhaar is now a sufficient KYC for know your customer for opening a bank account. Therefore, if you have an Aadhaar letter, you will be able to open a bank account. So that's one part. It allows access to the banking system. Secondly, the government will now not need to know the bank account number of the person. Government needs to know just the Aadhaar number. So as we all know, your Aadhaar number becomes a kind of URL of the person. So you just know Aadhaar number and you know where that person is or who that person is. So actually you can use this Aadhaar number to transfer money to your personal bank account. And that is how the entire direct benefit transfer, which is being done by the Government of India in 51 districts of the country from 1st of January, that's how it is being done. Whereby you transfer the money using Aadhaar number as the pointer, Aadhaar number as the financial address of the person. So I may change my bank account, doesn't make a difference, so long as, because Aadhaar is a very invariant number. Everything in life will change except Aadhaar. You may become rich from poor, you may become married from unmarried, you may have other kinds of transformations in your life, but Aadhaar will remain the same. So therefore you can use Aadhaar to push money to people's account. So you open an account using Aadhaar, government pushes in money to your account using Aadhaar, and finally, using this micro ATM, the device which I talked about, which does the online authentication, using that and the business correspondent to hold that micro ATM, you can do a transaction. So you can withdraw money from your account, you can do account-to-account transfer, you can acquire balance, you can deposit money to your account in a real-time online manner. So essentially, Aadhaar becomes an enabler for opening an account, access. Aadhaar becomes an address, and Aadhaar becomes a facility to transact your accounts. So this is the power of authentication and the identity which this gives. We are doing a lot of experiments. For example, just to share with you, we are doing PDS in Andhra Pradesh, in East Godavari district, where the person comes to the fair price shop, he just authenticates using Aadhaar, draws the ration, which actually updates the inventory at the back end of the ration PDS department, and then takes the ration, pays the money. Now, the PDS department of the state has a completely real-time online inventory as to which shop had conducted how many transactions and how much it has gone. The ration shop dealer cannot not say that Mr. X had got the ration without distributing it to Mr. X. That's what he does now. Now he cannot say because X has indeed authenticated his presence at the ration shop. And similarly, Mr. X also cannot say that I did not get the ration. So all the complete accountability and transparency into this transaction will ensure that the entire black marketing, entire opaqueness into this system goes away. So the PDS experiment is being done in Andhra Pradesh. The NREG payments have been done in Jharkhand. Old age pensions have been done in Maharashtra. then Tripura. So there are a large number of experiments have taken place, and these experiments preceded the DBT program of the Government of India, which means we have perfected the technology of authentication. Yes, there will be 1% or 2% people who will not be able to authenticate because of the deformity in the system, their fingers or whatever. But for that, you have to have some exception management system, and 1% or 2% is not really a major issue. If you are able to clean a large part of the system, I think you have achieved a great job. So this is what is being done there. In the private sector also, telecom. For example, currently for getting a SIM card, you have to have some proof of ID or proof of address, and you go there and the fellow xeroxes it. And after that, he keeps the Xerox copy and, SIM cards are issued. Telecom companies are paying fine every year to issuing SIM cards to unauthorized people or, bad people or whatever. Aadhaar enables you to electronically get a SIM card. So what happens is you go there and you say, I am so and so. This is my Aadhaar number. You authenticate on that device and you authorize that shop to get a digital copy of your Aadhaar transmitted from our data center to this data center. So essentially a digital copy of Aadhaar travels from Bangalore to whatever is Vodafone's data center, and you get a SIM which is instantly activated. So it's a paper-based transaction which is completely accountable and transparent. So this is the way many services can be actually automated. And this electronic KYC which we have started, which basically means digitally signed document going to the service provider's database, enabling him to do a verification, whatever is feasible and possible now. So that's what is happening. As you are aware, because of the potential duplication, because NPR were also doing an exercise and we were also doing this exercise, the Government of India had taken a decision that in some states, National Population Register under the RGI, they will do the enrollments, and in some places UIDAI through the state government will get the enrollments done. And Odisha actually has fallen into the first category where the Registrar General of India is doing the enrollments. I was happy to see that already 34% of the population, 1.4 crores out of 4.19 crores, has already been covered by the Registrar General of India. And about 50% of that basically about 60 lakh people have already been given unique IDs. Because by the way, the front-end systems are different in the sense that agencies are different. But the data collection is taking place as per UID standards in the software given by UID Authority of India. So therefore, all this data, whether collected by RGI or whether collected by state government, it all goes to our data center. We all deduplicate nationwide and issue Aadhaar numbers and communicate those numbers to people. So as far as the enrollment process is concerned, some different agencies are doing enrollments, but the processing is concerned, processing is being done, Aadhaar generation is being done by UID Authority of India. Therefore, the further applications of Aadhaar will also be, we will facilitate that, and Mr. Padi had last met in Hyderabad, and he requested, sir, you should not give us a step-motherly treatment. We are, just because somebody else is doing the enrollment. I said, no, Mr. Padi, please be rest assured that UID Authority of India is fully behind Odisha to make this entire exercise a successful exercise, and therefore we will do everything possible like we are doing in other states to ensure that pilots are done here. The Odisha government is able to integrate Aadhaar into their delivery systems, and we will be fully behind them. I was very happy to note that there are as many as 3 districts where the enrollment, Bolangir, Puri, and one more district, I'm forgetting the name, where you have done more than 80% enrollment. And actually these are fit cases or fit districts where you can start the public service delivery using Aadhaar as a platform. We will ensure that we provide full assistance both in terms of technology, financial assistance, digitization of data, authentication systems, everything we will do to make Odisha, as the Honorable Chief Minister was saying, in the forefront of the states which are committed to e-governance and public service delivery systems. So I can assure you from this platform that we will do everything possible to make Aadhaar, a fully usable number here, and you should leverage the power of Aadhaar. That will be assurance which I can give you. I can also say that we have a number of schemes like information and communication technology assistance. We also have frameworks and platforms to digitize the data, to seed Aadhaar numbers into various databases. All that part we will definitely do, and soon we will see that those 3 district segments of Odisha, the state government can make use of this number in their domain. Once again, I want to assure the government of Odisha and the Honorable Minister and our colleague Secretary that we will do everything possible. I also want to finally thank you for inviting me on this occasion and allowing me to share my thoughts. Thank you very much.